Good afternoon, More Medic 1. Today we're working on a Scag Turf Tiger with the liquid-cooled Kawasaki engine. Got called out because it won't start. They say they can jump it off with jumper cables and it'll crank. So it's probably going to need a battery, and we're going to have to check the charging system. But I'm going to show you, the do's and don'ts when it comes to battery replacements. If you don't, your cables are going to be corroded. You need to be sure you clean those real good, and always be sure to take your negative off first and then the positive, and then when you put the new battery on, put your positive cable on first and then your negative, because what happens is when it's hooked up just like this and you go to put your wrench on the positive and you go to loosen it, and your wrench may hit metal around here, and it will short out and arc and may, cause a fire if there's fuel present somewhere. So just be careful, and just, always take your battery, negative battery cable off first. We'll go ahead and get this corrosion cleaned up here. It's pretty bad. A lot of the problem may be this corrosion, not getting charge through that screwed up cable. But let's go ahead and get it. I'm going to put a little monster on there, a little bit of fizz action going. My dad showed me this trick when I was a wee little kid, except he used Coke. Let's let that sit there and bubble for a few minutes, and then we'll take the cables off. One of the problems that you will run into when you're dealing with corrosion is that the head of the bolts will get corroded off, and so your wrench won't fit the bolt anymore like it does the correct, or the 7/16 non-corroded bolt there. This one is going to have to be taken off with pliers. Go ahead and loosen off your negative cable first. We'll just get it moved out of the way. Don't lose your bolts. And just tuck it in behind somewhere, get it out of the way, like that. And the problem is going to be, I've already loosened this up with a pair of pliers, is this bolt and the nut. Let's see if I can get it to focus. The corrosion will eat your battery hardware away, so you can't put, your regular wrenches on there to get it loose. So we'll go ahead and get this one out. We're going to throw this hardware away. This is going to be probably one of your most important steps, is to clean this cable real good. You can put batteries on for days, but if your cables are corroded, you're just spinning your wheels, because you're not going to get the flow of electricity through the cable if you can't get past that corrosion. So just, if you have a die grinder that you can use, these little 2-inch roll-lock discs, go zing, 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 and on both sides, zing, 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 you'd be a lot better off. But I don't have one of those on my truck today. My normal truck's in the shop, getting a tail shaft bushing put in the 4L80E transmission. On this particular model, it's just got a couple of wing nuts here to hold the battery in. Obviously it's missing one here. I'm surprised it hadn't got worked its way out. You don't have to loosen these all the way off, just let them loose, and then basically what it does, the battery sits down in a U-shaped channel, and when you tighten these wing nuts, it kind of squeezes the battery in there and keeps it from falling out. So let's go ahead and remove this one. And then we're going to take some battery cleaner, and we're going to clean out this whole battery tray. I like to take quick drying electrical cleaner. It does a pretty good job. Just get it soaked pretty good. And then we'll take a rag and wipe it out best as we can anyway. Keep in mind this is battery acid. Don't want to get it on your hands. I recommend wearing gloves, but I'm not. Got a little bit more right here in the corner. I'll get it knocked out with a screwdriver. I'm gonna go ahead and spray out that little bit right there. Go ahead and slide your new battery in. And when you go to buy a battery, this size battery, the U1L, which means left positive, you can get a U1R, which means that the positive will be over here. Now on this particular tractor, you could actually put either battery because the cables are long enough, positive and negative wise. Well, yeah, you could stretch that over there. But sometimes the cables aren't going to allow you to put either battery. You'll just have to go back with the original, whatever post came with it, from the factory. Trying to find me some shorter battery bolts. These two are the perfect length, but they're metric, and I don't have any metric nuts to fit them. So let's see if I can find something. Let's see what's in here. Oh yeah, that'll work. You just don't want to go too long on your battery bolts because you could actually, could protrude too far through and could potentially arc on something or short something out. So just keep your battery bolts as short as you can. Plus, when you go to take the nuts off, you don't have messed up corroded threads to try to overcome. I like to be able to thread the nut on there and have as few threads coming through the nut as possible, if you catch what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and get your positive cable tightened down. You don't have to kill this because that is lead and it's soft, so that's plenty tight right there. Go ahead and slide your boot back over. Well, let's just hold off on this boot right now. Go ahead and take the cap off, and let's install the negative battery cable at this time. Once you have everything good and tight, we're just going to put a little battery protector on the terminals. What I like to do is get it shook up real good and hit that terminal, let it dry, and give it another coat. Let that dry, and then the third coat, you're good to go. It's very overcast today. We're supposed to be getting about several inches of rain over the next 3 or 4 days. Sorry for the lighting. It's, like I said, it's overcast and actually feels kind of good outside. It's about 80 degrees. So let's go ahead and get it cranked up. And what I wanted to pay attention to is the ammeter. When you crank it, it's supposed to, show negative amps, excuse me. And then once it starts, it'll go to positive amps because the charging system is working. Oh, my brake. Each lawnmower is different. And give it some choke. And as you can tell, even at idle, the charging system's working. So let's go ahead and push a little more fuel to it. And as you can tell, she's charging at full capacity. Bottle is a little low, so I'm going to top it off, but I'm also going to check and make sure we're full here on the radiator. And I concur that that's alright. Now these engines are notorious for having head gasket issues. So if you got a machine that's using coolant, that's probably what it's going to be. Just use any good green compatible coolant. 50-50 mix. Fill it up to the H mark, which means high level. And that did not take much. Maybe not even like half a quart. Air filters on the commercial mowers, a lot of times they'll have a filter minder. That's a very good indication on when to change the filter. What I like to do, I like to play peekaboo. I don't like to take these filters out if they're dirty. So just take the cover and just peel it back just a little bit, and you can tell whether or not that filter needs to be changed or is filthy. Don't take the filters out unless you have to. And when you do, be sure you clean the canister out completely, because you don't want to shove that new filter right on top of dirt, which is going to go right in the motor. Because when you pull the old one out, dirt's going to fall. Just pull the dipstick, check the oil. Oil's good and clean. Wipe your stick off, put it back. Check it. It's a little bit overfilled. At least he's checking the oil. Lastly, you want to take the radiator screen out and be sure it's not clogged up. Knock it out real good, get it all cleaned up. If your radiator screen is not clean, you will overheat this motor, and that's part of the head gasket issues on these. Just be sure that's good to go there. And basically the only thing you need to do for a a mid-season service is just sharpen the blades. We normally just replace them. I just put blades on this about a month ago and greased the spindles and greased all the zerks. So this ought to be good to go for another, well, until at least the winter time, and until they bring, I can come out and service it, have it ready to go for next season. If y'all have any questions about battery replacements and just kind of a mid-season look over on your lawnmower, let me know. Mower Medic 1. Have a great day.